Welcome to the AI Brief from the YPO Technology Network. I'm Stephen Forte. Some version of this is already happening inside your company, whether you authorized it or not. A piece of software that does not just answer questions, but takes actions. Books the meeting, writes the code, moves the data, is running on your systems under someone's login with almost nobody watching it. We call these things AI agents. And this week, 3 separate numbers landed that together. Tell you the gold rush to deploy them has officially outrun the controls to manage them. A security number, a cost number, and a failure number. I am going to give you all 3, what each one means for you, and the 3 things I would do about it before your next board meeting. Here is the lens for today. The agent is already in your building. You just have not given it a badge, a budget, or a supervisor. Let me show you the bill for that. Start with security because it is the one that ends careers. A company called Straker, a startup that does nothing but secure AI agents inside large companies, just raised $64 million. And on the way in, they published the number that earned them the check. When they ran live attacks against production AI agents, 91% of the attacks on everyday productivity agents ended with the agents silently handing over company data. Not crashing, not alerting, quietly exfiltrating. That is security's word for data walking out the door while every light stays green. And 36% of the attacks on coding agents achieved what is called remote code execution, or RCE. The worst category there is, the one where the attacker gets to run their own commands on your machine. You might assume pulling that off takes a sophisticated nation state. It does not. That same week, researchers disclosed a flaw in Amazon Q, Amazon's AI coding assistant, the one your developers may already have open right now, where simply cloning a booby-trapped code repository handed over the developer's live cloud keys. No clicks, no warning. You opened the project. The agent did the rest. Here is why this is a different animal from the breaches you already lose sleep over. A stolen password opens one door. An agent holds the keys to every door you ever gave it when you almost certainly cannot list those doors from memory. You handed an intern who never sleeps a master key and you never wrote down what it unlocks. And here is the part that should keep you up. Most of these agents were never approved by anyone in a position to say no. Marketing spun one up in a no-code tool over a lunch break. Finance built one inside a spreadsheet add-on. A developer wired 3 into the code base over a weekend because it was faster than filing a ticket. The shadow IT problem you spent the last decade taming with unsanctioned software is back, except this version does not just store your data. It acts on it. Give the agent builders their due here, and I mean it. The capability is genuinely extraordinary. These systems do in minutes what used to take a skilled team a week, and the companies using them well are pulling ahead. The problem is not the engine. It is that most of us bolted a Formula One engine onto a go-kart, skipped the seatbelt, and entered the race anyway. Now the cost number, because it arrived on a date you can actually check. On June 30th, Tuesday, GitHub Copilot, the most widely used AI coding tool in the world, closed its first full billing cycle since it switched from a flat $29 a month subscription to usage-based pricing, where you pay per unit of AI work consumed. Teams running agents, not just autocomplete, but agents doing real multi-step work, are reporting monthly bills of $750 to $3,000 per developer. Each individual agent session, GitHub's own product chief confirmed, can burn $30 to $40 in credits. Picture a 40-person engineering team that penciled Copilot into the budget at about $100 or $200 a month. At the new rates, in an agent-heavy month, that line item can clear $60,000. The research firm IDC put a number on the pattern. Through 2027, the largest companies in the world will underestimate their AI infrastructure costs by 30%. This is a metered taxi you forgot was running. The flat rate era of AI tooling is over. And most finance chiefs are going to learn that the way you learn a teenager found the minibar at checkout. So security is leaking and cost is climbing. The third number tells you how that story usually ends. Gartner, the research firm your board already quotes back to you, projects that 40% of all agentic AI projects will be canceled by 2027. Not because the technology stops working, but because of runaway cost, unclear business value, and inadequate controls, which is almost word for word the two numbers I just walked you through. The lesson is not do not deploy agents. The companies winning with them are real, and the model for doing it right is already emerging. This week, Shamath Palihapitiya raised $135 million and took the CEO seat at a company called 8090, building enterprise coding agents whose whole selling point is audit trails and compliance controls rather than raw speed. The market is starting to price governance as a feature that tells you where this goes. The actual lesson is the one MIT Sloan published this month. With AI, the risk moved from the moment you build the thing to the moment you run it. Every day at scale. Governance you perform once at launch, a policy memo, and a sign-off is governance for a world that no longer exists. There is a quieter cost underneath all of this, and Harvard Business Review gave it a name this month. Work slop. It is AI output that looks finished, polished, confident, well-formatted, lands in a colleague's inbox and turns out to be hollow. It never shows up on an invoice. It shows up 3 weeks later as a decision someone made on a draft that read like it was done and that no human actually checked. Multiply that across a company running hundreds of agents, and you get a slow leak in the one asset that does not appear on any balance sheet, what your organization actually knows. Here's my read. The agent gold rush is real, and sitting it out is not the move. Your competitors are getting genuine leverage out of these tools. But almost everyone deployed the capability and skipped the controls because the demos were dazzling and the procurement was a corporate card. You hired 1,000 tireless employees and skipped the background check, the badge system, and the expense policy. That bill always arrives. It is arriving now. If I were sitting in your seat this quarter, I would do 3 things, and not one of them requires slowing down. First, run an agent inventory before your board asks for one. Not a project, just an honest list of every AI agent operating in your company and which systems each one is allowed to touch. Most CEOs cannot produce that list today, and you do not want to be assembling it for the first time during an incident. Second, pull your June AI tool invoice this week and set a per-person spending cap. Turn the metered taxi into a budgeted one before the next cycle runs. Third, make one question mandatory in every AI vendor conversation from here forward. How do you detect an agent leaking data, and can you show me its audit trail? If they cannot answer it, that is your answer. 3 weeks, one story. Monday, it was your clients grading you and criminals cloning you. Tuesday, the supply side of AI quietly moved to China while the headlines argued about who was in charge. Today, it is the very thing you are racing to deploy, turning into the thing you cannot see. The pattern is not that AI is dangerous. The pattern is that AI keeps moving faster than the controls around it. And the gap between the two is exactly where your risk lives. The agent is already in your building. Give it a badge, a budget, and a supervisor before it gives you a reason to wish you had. That is the YPO Tech Network AI brief for Wednesday, July 1st. I am Stephen Forte. If this was useful, send it to a fellow member. I will be back Thursday with more. Until then, stay sharp.